How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Massive Beer Reviews, back with yet another review. A little bit of Maryland born and bred hopeful IPA goodness in the form of Evolution Brewing's. It's their lot number 3 IPA. This is one of my first Evolution beers. Never had anything from these guys before. They actually reached out to me, saw the videos, and said, hey man, can we toss some beers your way? They did so. This is the first hop offering I've had from them. The first thing I cracked from them was a barrel aged stout. I'll probably throw all these reviews up on the same day, so watch all the other ones. So yeah, let's jump into it. What does it say on this bottle? It says lot number 3 IPA, India Pale Ale, brewed and bottled by Evolution Brewing Company, Salisbury, Maryland. Independent craft brewing. It's 6.8% alcohol by volume. Done and done. Bottle. Old school style. I mean, bottles are crazy. And labels, okay. I mean, it feels like art design that came from a think tank marketing firm. Let's put it that way. I like a little bit of ghetto-ness to my labels, a little bit of simplicity. This comes off a little bit more graphic. Something you can find in your Mix of Six at your local Wegmans or something like that. Is that a bad thing? No. The beer's good. Who gives a fuck? But, yeah. So what do we have here? First things first. You're talking about a high 6% IPA. Darker than what a lot of people anticipate, especially from IPAs, especially nowadays. Rich caramel in color, albeit very clear, albeit a little bit watered down. Pinky finger, nice fluffy creamy head to it, super tight packed bubbles, south of khaki looking, but I mean, God, you can kill ants with that fucker, she's so clear. So, you know, in today's world of the haze-brown and hop cloudiness, they usually look for that kind of big murkiness. You're not getting it here. So what it says to me, it's going to be a bit malty, and it's going to be a bit kind of traditional, the way it kind of showcases the hops. Could be wrong. Let's get a whiff. Soft citrus, a little bit of soft kind of melon rindiness, big herbal component, big kind of tea-like tannic kind of herbliness, very old school in the way it's showing its hops, coming off bittering in that kind of herbally, kind of spicy, kind of tea kind of vibe way. Not all that overly sweet. I'm not going to get big malt component off it. The hops definitely lead the way, but it's not robust. It's very soft and very kind of, you know, old school English style vibes. Not necessarily saying they're using those kind of hops, but that's the way they show. Let's dive in. Cheers. Follows suit in the taste. I mean, the sweetness is there. Bittering still trumps it. So there's a nice balance between that sweetness and bitterness. The sweetness doesn't come off overly candied, overly overtly sweet, not even close to cloying, but there's enough sweetness kind of balance off that bitterness. I'm kind of surprised at how dark it was. The malt profile isn't as distinct or more robust. The hops definitely in that spicy herbally kind of thing, definitely old school kind of English style hop application. Not necessarily if they might be using new school hops, but the way they're presenting themselves are very in an old school manner. Nice mouthfeel, nothing too crazy, nothing too thick or dense, but a nice mouthfeel, and definitely not watery. It's very old school. I keep saying that, and I'm saying it for a reason, because that's how it looked, that's how it smelled, and that's how it tastes. This tastes like a beer that I'm not going to say you don't find today, because you find a lot of these today, especially when I said it kind of, the art made it look like it was coming from the Mixed Six section of like a Wegmans or your local kind of Trader Joe's or something like that. And that's what it tastes like. It tastes like a beer that has been built and cultivated and designed, one, for old school palate in mind, whether it be, you know, your BJCP nerdy or somebody that has just kind of lived kind of in that kind of beer world, 80s, 90s style, but at the same time something that is shelf stable. Something that's going to last on a shelf, something that's going to not really drop out or fall out over time, and have a bit of kind of longevity to it. Date-wise, this was bottled 2 weeks ago, so it's a very fresh beer. So it's not something that's old and it kind of turned into this. This is the way they wanted to represent these beers. Sure, it was shipped to me. It wasn't shipped cold, but it got here in like a day and a half, so I don't think that was an issue. Yeah. It's nice. It's fine. It's what you'd expect if you walked into an old school OG kind of brew pub, or something you would get kind of, if you walked into a brewery circa 1998. Is it a bad thing? No, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Is it going to make headlines? It's going to shake, the news feed and make people kind of clamor over it? No, no one's going to wait in line for this beer. Nor do I think that's their angle for it. Being in bottles, being the way it's produced, I think it's something that they're looking to kind of throw on shelves, looking to produce that way. And if that's what they're going for and that's what they're shooting for, they're doing a pretty spot-on job of it. But at the same time, I've had this beer before. It doesn't lack a character, it lacks an identity. Or maybe reverse that. It doesn't lack, it has character, but it lacks identity. Maybe I'm going to reverse that one. In that, I've had this beer. I've had this beer several times. I've had this beer dozens of times from dozens of breweries. It is very kind of, let's flip to BJCP guidelines on this specific kind of IPA, and that's the way it comes off. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's also something you can get close to home and not be able to kind of trip over to find. Again, I keep saying it. Is it a bad thing? No, but it's also not going to separate you from the crowd. So it's nice. It's fine. The hops show well. There's a nice balance between the hops and the malt. But at the same time, there's really not much to it to kind of separate it from a crowd. Being that the new school hazy IPA crowd is so diluted that the old school one is that much more muted, that much more pushed down, it's probably going to have a really hard time finding a fan base outside of super local kind of, love, for the lack of a better term. So yeah, let's talk about it. Is it one of the better IPAs I've had as of late? No. I like mine. It's a bit new school. I'm not going to lie, but it's nice. It's well balanced. It's made well. There's nothing negative to it. Value and availability, no idea. Maybe somebody down there in Maryland way can kind of clue us into what's what when it comes to this beer and leave you with, if you like what we like this beer. If you love IPAs and you've loved them for the past 25 years, you'll like this beer. It's about as spot on as I could put it. If all you search for is dropped out of all bitterness, hazy, crazy, super turbid, flock to the 9th degree, super hazy IPAs, is this going to turn you on? No. But you should try it nonetheless, because you need to know all ends of the spectrum. And it's definitely, while leaning old school, definitely has its redeeming qualities. There you go. Another review in the books. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying an old school IPA right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.